TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Thursday. What is it? June 20th, 2024. That time of the week to go over the Sagamore Bridge, down Route 3, over to I-93, and better today than tomorrow. I guess there's a parade going on in Boston. Something about a championship for the Celtics. Last show of the summer season with Jules, as he will go on his lobster roll and seafood and frozen drink review. We are, God willing, will be circling back late to mid-August and start in September for some college and NFL football. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, head on over to Google Play. Download it. It's free. If you'd like to join this amazing team, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Travis, Zach, the rest of this amazing team and community will take good care of you. So without further ado, let's bring in the true star of this show, the one and only Mr. Julian Edlow.
What are we doing, Jeff?
What is up, Jules?
Just living the dream.
Living the dream is right, just like all the Celtic fans. Shout out to Marty Lowe. Roll Tide, Marty. Roll Tide. Where to start? An amazing run. 16-3 in the playoffs, as we talked about week after week. The perfect storm, the perfect trip. It couldn't have been designed or drawn up any better. We're not here to poo-poo the injuries, how they just marched right through the East. What really hats off and credit to them is they took game 4 off and they came back home and they put that chokehold on them early. That Pritchard 49-footer was kind of the dagger saying, hey, go enjoy your halftime and we'll take care of it from there. You were at the game, so take us through it, my brother.
I mean, there really wasn't much to it. It was a pretty stress-free game, much like it was a stress-free championship run. And, the path will be talked about, but they also went 16-3. The 08 Celtics went 16-10 on their way to the championship. So, yeah, a lot more resistance. But also, they went to Game 7 with that 8-seeded Hawks team in the first round. Like, if this team did that, they would be absolutely killed. But it was a great atmosphere. It was more about the night, the atmosphere. The Pritchard shot was obviously kind of the moment where I think everybody felt pretty comfortable. And it was a clunker of a second half. They scored 38 points. Just barely maintained the lead. Dallas won the half by 3 points or whatever it was. So it was. They broke through as front runners. They never trailed in a series. They never trailed in the game where they won it all. So I'm thrilled to watch this team break through. It was a good run financially, obviously, and then now I want to see this team kind of defend the crown and get pushed next year and have to play in some more uncomfortable scenarios in the postseason, because it didn't get uncomfortable this time around, really.
No, and you brought up some great points there. You've known my love affair, my man crush on Jaylen Brown. Nothing against Jason Tatum. I'm a huge fan of Brown. I think for a while he had been not portrayed as the bad guy, but again, it's Jason's team, and Jalen's a step down from him. The 1A, 1B, the alpha, whatever it is, and can they win together? And that was always the doubt, coming up so close, so short. Obviously, go back a few years ago in the Golden State series, up 2-1 at home, leading in the third quarter with an opportunity to put a stranglehold on that series, and they faltered. Last year, faltering to the Heat. It was title or bust this year. The moves that Brad made to bring in Porzingis and Holiday, and kind of comically, fourth quarter on FanDuel, Jason Tatum minus 550 to win the MVP. Were you sitting there as they're about to hand that trophy out there? Were you team Tatum there, or did you think Brown was going to get it?
I personally thought it was very close. I would have been fine with either. I did bet a little Brown in game because, they vote in the third quarter, and you can, communicate if some of the voters, and the two that I heard from were Brown. So that made it, that kind of pushed me on to a bet in the game, which was nice. But 7-4. The East Finals was 4-5. You can make the case for Tatum. I thought Tatum clearly had the better clincher and was fantastic in Game 5. What it comes down to is this: I would have been fine with either of them winning it. I thought Brown had a little bit higher of an impact considering he had to guard Doncic. He made some big clutch shots in Game 3 that they won, and Game 3 was probably the most key game of the series. So what I like about it, the reason I like it being Brown, is for two, you kind of kill two birds with one stone in terms of narratives. Everybody, I think you have asked me on this show, everybody asked me, but I think you've asked me on the show if Brown's ever going to move on to have his own team. Well, now he's got a ton of recognition. He has an Eastern Conference Finals MVP and an NBA Finals MVP, in his trophy room. And I think that makes it easier to say, hey, I am appreciated here and we're winning. This is where I want to be. And then you have Tatum, who kind of like is now in the Steph Curry or Kobe role of whatever you want to call it, wins his first ring, doesn't get Finals MVP. He still has something to shoot for. So I love it in terms of projecting this team for the future, or this team, this team's chances to win again, because you kill two birds with one stone. You please Brown and show him that he's appreciated here, and you keep something out there for Tatum to go after. So I care much less about whether it was right or wrong to give it to Brown, because I think it was pretty close to a coin flip, and am much happier about what it kind of means for the future.
It was funny when they were down to the Final Four, Celtics, Pacers, Minnesota, Dallas, the numbers were really saying, honestly, the way I was reading the market, the Celtics weren't going to win, and the assumption that Minnesota was going to win the NBA title. And so when I sent out the ECSI alert to the VIPs, I says, hey, if you don't want to waste the money on the Celtics in the finals, meaning you didn't want to lay the minus 200, 220 in the Final Four, you could go to got Tatum at plus 120 or 125 to win the MVP. Jalen was 8-1, I think, at that point. And then when they met in the finals, I think Jalen might have been plus 6 or 650. The one everyone liked was Derek White as the sleeper there. Personally, if you break down the games, the MVP of Game 1, in my eyes, was Porzingis. I mean, he scored 18 in the first half, 2 in the second. Game 2, Holiday. Game 3, Jalen, my point.
Tatum and Brown, but I think Brown in the end with the 38-8, and he hit the big shot to stop the run.
Correct. So the constant in the whole series was Brown. I'm not taking anything away from Tatum, but the constant was Brown, and I think they made the right decision.
Well, you're right in the sense that they had 4 MVPs of the 4 wins. If you're going MVP by game, you're right. Game 1's Porzingis, Game 2's Holiday, Game 3 is Brown, Game 5 is Tatum. And I think all that illustrates is that's why the Celtics are so dangerous. And they're going to have a pretty long title window here where they have cracks at it each year. In the East final and the NBA finals, they're going to be back at this level, or have the opportunity to be back on that level a lot of times if they stay healthy. So I think all that illustrates is why the Celtics are dangerous. 4 wins, 4 MVPs of those games.
Love the Al Horford shocked, by the way, his mansion is on the market. I thought that was the perfect mic drop there. Made it clear that he will be back to defend. A lot of love shown from Missoula. The team really defended Missoula. It was Missoula that was the glue that kept them going and kept them on their toes for this run. And then, of course, Brad Stevens. And I like the accolades that a lot of the locals were given to Ainge. Ainge built this team. Brad took it over, made some major moves at the end. And it's like one big happy family, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right way to acknowledge it because you don't have this core without Danny Ainge making pretty much 3 bold moves that not everyone would have done. Number 1, you trade Garnett and Pierce towards the tail end of their primes, but players that meant a lot to the fan base. So you pull the trigger on that. Then with those picks that you get, you actually turn them into your next franchise, and you do them both with bold calls. It was a 2-player draft with Simmons and Ingram, and it was very up in the air for the 3rd pick. Chris Dunn, Jamal Murray, a lot of other names, and you go with Jaylen Brown there, who was kind of off the radar. The next year, you get the number 1 pick when everybody's saying that Fultz is a slam dunk. And not to toot my own horn, I did not see it with Fultz. Didn't see it. I liked Tatum and Josh Jackson in that draft, which it seems Danny Ainge did. And thank goodness Tatum wound up being the guy. But that was controversial at the time. So those 3 moves, if you don't make those moves, you're not winning now. No chance. Now, Ainge got a little complacent, wasn't mixing it up enough. These small moves, your Evan Fourniers and your whoever is at the deadline, that clearly wasn't enough. So when Ainge got a little complacent, that's when Stevens came in and stayed aggressive or returned to the aggressive level that they needed. Kemba for Horford. Then you move Smart. Then you find a way to get Holiday. Those weren't moves Ainge was making, and getting you get rid of Rob Williams in the process. Like a lot of guys that Ainge seemed to just kind of keep around and find, well, we'll make a smaller move so we can keep this guy. Stevens got aggressive, and that's what they needed.
I don't know the contracts. I don't know anything. I do know they're plus 300 to win it all. And the next closest team is Denver at 800. Obviously, we got the draft coming up. And shit, that's right. This is your last show. We're not even going to have some NBA draft talk here. And then, free agency trades, yada, yada, yada. Off the top of your head, I mean, this just isn't run it back. Is there any guys that could potentially be moving on or contracts? I know they talked about an extension for Derek White, but I'm not back there. I don't know what's going on.
They should have it should be almost the entire same team. It's going to be one of those teams that you bring back close to, if not the entire thing. I mean, you go through your top 8. Brown is under contract. Holiday just got a big contract. Porzingis just got a big contract. White has one more year on his deal. He's going to be extended. Tatum has one more year on his deal. He's going to get 5 years, $315 million. So there's that. Then you go to the bench. Horford's just going to play here till he retires. Pritchard just got his money, and Hauser. So your top 8 are in place. Everybody that played any meaningful postseason minute for you is returning. So, like I said, this is why I'm saying there's a pretty significant open window here where the Celtics are going to be at the doorstep in the East Finals, the NBA Finals for a pretty long period of time, or at least have the opportunity to do so.
Dallas Mavericks. The fact is, Kyrie came over, and as I said last week to everyone, played very well in the sandbox. He shared his all his toys. At the end of the game, hugged it out with the Celtics. The local media didn't want to say he turned the page. The national media was trying to play that side of it up. Kind of the dream second half run, if I remember correctly, since the All-Star break, the Mavs had the best record in the NBA. Again, not knowing what's going on, their contracts and stuff. I think Kidd did a great job. The West is so stacked, and the youth with OKC, Minnesota. Thoughts on Dallas moving forward? I can't see Kyrie playing nice again 2 years in a row. Can you?
I could. I'll give him credit. I thought he had turned a corner the entire way, except for the games in Boston and talking to the media in Boston. So there's a clear block with Boston, but otherwise, I think he has grown a little bit. So now that doesn't mean I think they're going to win the West again. I just think Dallas will have a successful season. This should help motivate them. There's better teams in the West. I think Minnesota's a better team. I think Denver's a better team. OKC could grow into a better team. Like you said, the West is tough. I think Dallas will be fine. Luka needs to get in better shape and stop with the complaining. Losses like this are what kind of build you. So we'll see what they do, if they can land another piece or whatever. But I think Dallas will be fine in the coming years. But again, there's a lot of other teams that are just as good, if not better. So it doesn't mean they're just going to, walk back into the finals again. But they're in the mix in the West, and that's fine.
Last question in the NBA for you. Danny Hurley says thanks, but no thanks. I think going to be now the highest paid coach in college with Bill Self for Kansas. All the rumors leading up before Hurley jumps over to LA for a quick trip was JJ Redick. He's building his staff, yada, yada, yada. Hearing anything? Is it JJ's or are we going to get another curveball here?
I don't know. I thought the Hurley thing the whole time was kind of a smokescreen because, Shams was breaking the JJ story, and then Woj breaks the Hurley story on the morning of Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and then he doesn't ultimately wind up taking the job. It didn't seem like a good fit to begin with, and now it does sound crazy turning down the Lakers job and LeBron James, but Hurley didn't seem like a great fit for that from the beginning. I have no clue what the Lakers do. I thought JJ Redick seemed like the obvious choice from the beginning, and we'll see if they wind up looping back to that. I don't know if Redick wants to look like the second option now. But for it being the Lakers and it being a LeBron James team, it's about as bad of a Lakers LeBron James coaching job, I guess, as you could get, as crazy as that sounds. But it's still a LeBron James coaching Lakers job, and they'll get somebody. It's been kind of weird, the guys that they've had over the years. It feels like they should just be able to easily land a big name that they want, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The smoke screen, I think it was a PR move into slowing the JJ Express train down, because rumor had it again, he was just, getting his staff ready. A few weeks ago, he was on with Felger and Maz, and the most arrogant, pompous ass in probably the history of guests that they had on for 15 minutes. Didn't want to be there, was just very snide, snippy with his remarks, and it was kind of comical. And the fact of the matter is he's never coached a game. He was asking, I heard, 9 to 10 million a year. Lakers were in like the 6-7 ballpark, and the amount of money the Lakers would have to spend for his staff. You got to build a strong supporting staff, because he's never coached. And as you said, it's LeBron in the twilight of his career, probably the last 2 years. And it's going to be Bron and Bronny, most likely. I mean, Bronny's worked out for the Lakers and Phoenix, and that's it. And the assumption is, come hell or high water, the Lakers are going to draft Bronny.
Yeah, we'll see. I will say, I'm comfortable with plus 120 on DraftKings. I'll go under 39.5 on Bronny James. I know a lot of people are thinking Lakers at 55 or whatever it is. I think somebody's going to reach on him, even if it's a team that we don't even know about, that's just like, well, we're going to take him and see if, that helps us land LeBron. I think in a really weak class like this, something weird will happen with Bronny before we get into the 40s in this draft. So there's a draft bet for you, and I think we have some decent ones on the board at DraftKings. Some props worth dabbling on. Not the best draft ever, but I think the Bronny James stuff is just, they're clearly trying to force a hand there. And it might not work like that, particularly in a draft like this. So I don't know how much his son's destination has to do with what his father would do. But I could, I'm assuming LeBron will be back with the Lakers, but I don't think that's set in stone, especially with the coaching vacancy kind of still up in the air.
I have to ask you one draft question. Good friend of mine keeps nagging me. What is your under-over on Zach Edey? And you have them going in the first round? I have no idea. I don't have a temperature or feel for where people are thinking with Zach.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. We don't have it up on DK right now. I think it has been up in the market at 22.5, heavily boosted to, I think, like a minus 160 to minus 200 range to the under. There's been some top 10 rumors of him, which you can get at like 15 to 1, I think. I don't know. I don't see him as a top 10 pick. But if this is why this draft's going to be so hard to bet. It's not a very good draft. And if you can justify anybody with somebody's got him ranked 25, but somebody wants to take him 10, that could happen in this draft. It's a tough draft to nail down many things with. We're talking about 2 international prospects that nobody knows about battling for the number 1 pick. We're talking about his Donovan Clingan. He's an over under 3.5. He would never be 3.5 in a solid draft class. With all due respect, he's a solid center, probably a backup center that can rebound and block some shots for you. And you're looking at him 3.5 here. So I don't know. I bet Stephon Castle minus 140 under 7.5. It's now 5.5 minus 115 each way. I still think he goes top 5. I think 4 to San Antonio is in play. I just think he's the prospect that we know the most about, fits the NBA bill the most. Didn't shoot great from 3 at UConn, but he can shoot and can develop that shot. So Castle under 5.5 is one of the ones on my radar right now.
And so the 3 UConn guys, you got Clingan at 3.5. Castle was 7.5, and now 5.5.
5.5 now, yeah.
And what's the third one for UConn? Is he up there?
Who's the other that's in there? Oh,
Tristan? No.
He's not on there, nor is Spencer.
Okay.
It's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 players for draft prop positions right now. Other guys have been up. More will come back up, but this is what we got up for the time being.
Patriots, same old, same old. I know at this point not a lot to report. We're getting closer to the OTAs, yada yada yada. Thoughts? Anything new in the NFL with your eyes? Patriots, Drake May, yada yada yada.
I thought this one was interesting, and we discussed it on the Sweat last weekend. It was a new prop. Let me make sure we still have it. But Drake May passing yards for next year, which is really when do you think he's going to start, if he starts? And again, DraftKings props are not week 1 or anything. You just got to play a snap this season, and it's action on your prop. Have you seen this one? Do you have a guess what Drake May's I'll put you on the spot. I'm not trying to make you look stupid because it's really hard to guess. Any idea what Drake May's passing prop might be if you were making it?
You mean yards and touchdown?
Passing yards for the season. Just passing yards for the season.
Drake May, passing yards for the season. I'm giving Jacoby 6. That leaves 11. And 11 will go. He's under 220. Actually should be around the 180 at 11. I would have him at around give me 2025.
Pretty good. 2,400.
Wow.
So I maybe think that Drake May comes on later than you do. Just a hunch. So again, we're betting more when is he going to come in. But then when he does, there's injuries. He looks awful, and then you try and hide him again. I don't like putting him in too early or much at all with this team because they still don't have the offensive line or the weapons that they need to help him. I think it's just not a good idea to do this. Now, that doesn't matter because that's my opinion, and the Patriots will have their own opinion. I can't bet it now. I want to get closer and see what the leash looks like and when we think, how May looks in preseason. And, I want a little bit more firm of an answer in terms of what the timeline is here. But Drake May under 2,400 passing yards is something I'm eyeing in terms of the Patriots.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's not like one of those week 6, 7, 8 bye weeks. If I remember correctly, they're week 13.
December.
Yeah, they had an opportunity and now we're all set. I think after the London game, I think they said, no, we wanted to push it as late as possible. So they're giving Brissett as much leeway as possible. But I just hope, I guess I'll ask you this, Jules. If he wows them in OTAs, he wows them in August, whoever comes into town for the week to practice and then, gets a shot at the exhibition games. Is there a rush to literally announce him as your starter opening week in Cincinnati?
I mean, they did it with Mac Jones, but they also made the playoffs with Mac Jones. They had a playoff caliber team. This team is like minus 800 to finish last in the division or whatever it is. So it's a different situation. You also, you got to the playoffs rookie year of Mac Jones. You also eventually ruined him. And this is a higher investment. I know they're both first round picks, but this is a 3 versus a 15. A lot more pressure not to ruin this one. Drake May should be a better prospect than Mac Jones. And they've already said Jacoby's our starter, whereas they didn't say anything the other year. So I think it's very unlikely that May can earn the starting role. But because Mac Jones did it, I guess I won't say impossible. But I would be very surprised, and I think it's a bad idea to play Drake May much, if at all, this season. you would really have to build up the offensive line and the weapons and maybe see what he looks like late in the year.
And the reason I think they rushed Mac Jones was the fact of the matter is Bill was still there. He was trying to win without Tom. He was trying to catch Don Shula, not a 22 or 24-year-old, which is for another story. Holy shit, Mr. Belichick. Just as we were talking and it dawned on me, and there should be no pressure on Mayo, new coach after Bill. He's got some wiggle room here. Unless an 0-17, and Vrabel's still out there, whatever. But there's no sense of urgency this year. This is what we got. Let's see what we got. And when he's ready, he should then be brought in. Correct?
Totally. Let it take what it takes, and you can give him looks at times this year, but they just need more. And I feel like there's a lot of. At some point, these type of investments and draft picks used to sit, and at some point it became, maybe because of what they get paid, you got to play these guys earlier, and that hasn't worked out that well. There's only a handful of guys that just start day one and wind up being really good. CJ Stroud did it. Joe Burrow did it. I don't think Drake May is that caliber prospect. But most of them, you look at all the other guys in those classes, didn't work out. And Bryce Young could work out. Maybe he is. He has to be better than what we saw his rookie year. I watched too much of him at Alabama to say he's that bad. They just did a terrible job surrounding him with anything and coaching him, so he looked awful. At some point in the right situation, Bryce Young can probably be a solid quarterback, but would Bryce Young be in a better situation if he just didn't play last year? Probably. So I have a hard time on a team this bad that needs so many pieces just saying or making a plan like this is when we're going to play Drake May. I think part of it has to do with how well Drake May is developing, but a bigger part is making sure you have the right pieces around it, because if the pieces aren't there, then the player is not going to look good no matter what.
And CJ Stroud made everyone else look so bad. He made it look so effortless, which was kind of comical. Potentially last hockey game on Friday, and the dog days of summer here, baseball. We do some Canadian Football League, obviously, with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk. An Olympic year. You're heading off into the sunset for the summer. Give us a reason, why to download the app, any good bonuses or what you got cooking there, and where can they find all your work and all your shows for the weekend, my brother?
Yeah, so for the rest of the month, we will have The Sweat on DK Network and VSiN. So every Saturday and Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m., you'll get plenty there. I'll be behind the scenes a little bit more in July, and then later in July, earlier in August, we're going to really revamp our website, DraftKingsNetwork.com. So you're going to get a lot of written content from me this summer, college football, NFL, a lot of previews on some teams and conferences there. So that's where you find all that. Let's see. What do we got today? We got a 50% boost in MLB on DK Sportsbook. So boost your bet there. Again, new customers, $1,000 deposit match or deposit bonus for those of you. I assume it's not many of you, but those of you that don't have DraftKings Sportsbook.
Jules, always a pleasure. Go enjoy the summer. Have some fun with the kids. Look forward to circling back in August and getting ready for some football with you.
All right. That's the plan. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jules. Take care, brother. The one, the only Mr. Julian Edlow at Julian Edlow at DK Sportsbook, at DraftKings, at The Sweat, at the DK Network. The list is endless. Go follow him, guys. It's been a great week. It's going to be a quiet day at the ECSI Studios and Media Group. Short menu, no closing bell. Scotty Webb will be back on Friday. So here's what we got planned for Friday, tentatively. Wager Wire, 11 a.m. Eastern, 2:30. The NCAA Insiders, Matt and Q, talking Omaha Championship, Texas A&M versus Tennessee. Should be a good matchup there. 3:15, I will be a guest with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk. 5 o'clock, 4:30-ish, me and Riley Magnuson for the closing bell on Friday. You don't want to be that pizza man, of course. And then at 6:15, Scotty Webb will be back for the MLB report. So, kind of just not disappointed. I knew this it was coming. I love my Thursday shows with Julian. I love talking local sports. And then through the eyes of the DK Sportsbook. That's what I really love a lot there. So I want everyone to go enjoy today. It's Thirsty Thursday. Our locals, especially in Boston, it is hotter than Haiti and humid. Please stay hydrated. Don't be a fool there. To everyone else watching, Mr. Sailor and everyone else, thank you guys. Thank you. Without you, there's no this. So go have a day. Have some fun. And, of course, a great shout out. Noah Frank, our producer, with all the L-Rap, with all the nuggets here. Made it easy, even for someone like me back here. So I can't thank you enough for your hard work. Go have a day. Let's win the day. And we'll see you soon.